everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Westborough's 7th annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Celebration. In Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos of Community, Dr. King calls for ending poverty and racism through fairness and justice for all. He emphasizes the working together nonviolently to create a more equal society. King urges people to unite against division and inequality. This year's celebration theme is Purpose, Partnership, and Power, the path to civil well-being. As we commemorate Dr. King's legacy, we strive to create a more inclusive and harmonious society. We hope you will leave here today with a more profound sense of how you might contribute to civic well-being.
And my name is Pastor Jeff Goodrich. I'm senior pastor at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church here in Westborough and leader of the Interfaith Clergy Association of Westborough. A number of different partner organizations are working together, and we're grateful for everyone's contribution to make today's event happen. In particular, 4 different organizations serve as co-hosts of this event, and each of these 4 have been committed to this work since it began in 2019. So that includes Westborough Public Schools, our local high-quality school district, Westborough Connects, a grassroots organization dedicated to building a stronger, kinder, and more inclusive community. The Westborough Interfaith Association, that is the interfaith network within the town of Westborough. It's made up of clergy and some lay leaders from the different houses of faith and religious organizations within the town. And Central Massachusetts Connections in Faith, that is a network of individuals and houses of worship from a number of different central Massachusetts towns. Their purpose is to build bridges and friendships across cultures based on the core values of respect, curiosity, inclusivity, and open-mindedness. So thank you to each of those 4 and everybody helping today. Thank you also to Westborough TV for your efforts in recording some of the program and editing it together for showing on the website later on. Thank you, lastly, to our funders, people who have helped with the financial part of today. That includes the Westborough Public Schools, the Westborough Cultural Council, that's a local agency supported by the Massachusetts Cultural Council, the state agency, and the Price Chopper Golub Foundation.
Thank you. We value all of your feedback and consider it essential for continuous improvement. So please, after the program concludes, please let us know about your experience and your thoughts. You can complete a paper feedback form, or you can conveniently use the QR code on the back of your program to be able to provide us with feedback. And also note that the bathrooms are located through the doors and up the stairs.
So what do we expect today? While we are gathering here in the cafeteria, Westborough Public Schools' Tara Gestrick is leading a children's program in the library just up the stairs. And that program features a reading of the book, The Artivist by Nicholas Smith, plus a number of different activities and a participatory music activity. The Westborough High School Black Student Union is helping to facilitate that children's program. And we have Black Student Union President Veronica Jugana with us, who will share a few words in just a minute. Today's music selection will be performed by the Westborough High School Choral Union. They're going to be singing the song Crowded Table by the Highwomen. And in addition to some a cappella music, we have the music of drums, led by Ortha. Some of you might remember Ortha from when he joined us at this event a couple of years ago. And we're delighted to have Ortha, you with us once more today. And then we'll welcome our elected officials and our guest speaker and community conversation leader, Jerren Chang. And when that time comes, Jerren will lead us in a brief check-in to see what emotions we may be coming with today as we enter this time together. He will share some of his own story and then get us started with some community conversations around our tables, facilitated by volunteers from Central Mass Connections in Faith. There will be 2 main blocks of time for us to connect in conversation with those at our table. And then at the very end of our program, we'll close with thinking about our individual commitments to our collective well-being, our civic well-being, and some final thank yous and the invitation to join the drum circle that will be happening in the lobby just up the stairs. So now we invite Veronica Jugana, Black Student Union President, forward to share a few words.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Veronica, and I'm a senior at Westborough High School. And I've been going to Westborough Public Schools since 2nd grade. And I'm also a senior, so next year I will be attending Spelman College, planning on majoring in economics and a minor in computer science. So when it comes to the Black Student Union, my friend Yael last year reached out to me telling me she felt like the Black students at our school kind of were estranged and we didn't really have a sense of community, which was kind of ironic since there weren't a lot of us to begin with. So when she came up to me with the idea, I thought, okay, we need to see if we can make this happen. So we ended up getting 2 more of our friends on board, and we had a meeting with our principal to get the club running. And then from there, we ended up getting flyers to pass out specifically to other Black students at the school. And from there, when we first had our first meeting, we all felt a really big sense of belonging, which usually we can't really have necessarily in the classroom. And I think sometimes when you're attending a certain school and you don't see a lot of people that look like you in your class, you can kind of feel a sense of alienation. But I think being in the club gave everyone a sense of belonging to have needed conversations or things that we all felt passionate about that we were all able to relate to. And from there, it's just flourished. Today, in honor of Martin Luther King Day, I'm going to talk a little bit about what that day specifically means for me. And I think when it comes to Martin Luther King Day, he's come so far within the advocacy work he's been able to do. And I think as Black students or Black children, sometimes we can think we're not capable of doing certain things because we don't see people look like us in a specific room, or we feel like we might not be able to do it just because we don't know people that have done it before. But I think when we look at Martin Luther King, we're also able to reflect on other big, influential Black figures that we're able to use to inspire us and it kind of, in a way, empower us in our identity in a world that can kind of make you feel diminished for being Black sometimes. And yeah, that's what Martin Luther King Day means for me. So, yeah.
My
Thank you so much, Westborough High School Choral Union. And we invite Ortha Day forward to give us a little taste of what we can expect at the end of the program with the drum circle.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet all of you. So I should have brought a different drum downstairs because it didn't occur to me that I would be standing while talking. So I'm going to sit. So my name is Ortha, and I am what's known as the drum circle facilitator. So I work with groups like this around the world, literally around the world, to help people connect with each other and talk about issues, very complicated issues of all sorts. So sometimes team building issues, and sometimes issues around race and racism, sometimes around violence and bullying, sometimes around all sorts of other issues that bring conflict to us. So I'm going to ask everyone here who's a drummer to raise your hand. I want to know all the drummers that are in the audience. Oh, there's 1, 2, I see 2 drummers. Okay, thank you. You can lower those hands. And those of you who are singers, raise the other hand. Oh, I see 2 singers, 3 singers, and we just heard that young, beautiful choir of singers, so 4 singers there. So, okay, put that hand. Now I'm going to ask everyone to raise your hand like this. Everybody in the room, raise your hand, and look around and wave your hand if you could, and look around the room at each other. Put your head on swivel, look around, all around, turn your body all around. Okay, I want you to know this is how many drummers and singers there are in the room. So all of you are that. All of the time, every moment of your life, you are a singer or a drummer. Every moment that you're awake, I should say, you are a drummer. Every moment that you're making any noise with your body, you're a singer. Any sort of sound. So that's the premise that I start with. And then the other premise is the notion that we're all connected one to each other because of this. And the moment I play this, all of you will know exactly what this is. So there's this. Once you know what this is, wave your hand, okay? So those of you with your hands up, can you tell everyone else what this is? Thank you. This is your heartbeat. Everyone say that. Heartbeat. Say it. Heartbeat. More. Give me more. Keep going. 2 more. 1 more. Thank you. Great. I'm going to ask you to put your hand on your heart. And while we say the words heartbeat, actually let me put my tambourine on my feet. So these are feet tambourine. On my foot. So that sound is merely the pulse. So can everyone put your hand on your heart and say the words, heartbeat. Here we go. Give me more. Louder still. Say it again. Give me more. Keep going with that. There you go. Tap your heart as you do it. Tap. Heartbeat. Heartbeat. There you go. Heartbeat. Look around at all of your friends as you're doing that. Look around at everyone at your table that they're doing that heartbeat. Heartbeat. You're doing it together. There you go. Now you keep going. I'm going to put my microphone down, and I want you to look at each other and depend on each other. So really, turn around and look at your friends. You can smile at them if you want to. You don't have to. It helps. It's a social glue to smile. There you go. So you keep going. I'm going to do something else, but I want you to keep going with that. So keep your head on swivel. Look at your neighbors, your friends. There you go. Keep going. Bravo, I want all of you to clap for how wonderful you were at that. Yeah, that's very, very good. Okay. So, because of that, you experienced what it means to connect with each other very, very briefly using drums and your heartbeat. You're all connected not only to everyone in this room, but because of that rhythm, you're connected to everybody around the world. So I want you to know, each of you, that we have a responsibility to each other, no matter who the other is. We're responsible to them, for them. They're responsible to us and for us. All of you are connected. Remember that. And then I'm going to invite you to come drum. There are about 60, maybe 40, 50, 60 drums that are upstairs. And I'm going to invite you to stay as long as you want to and come and drum. It's a lot of fun. You're going to see all the smiles on the faces. Okay. And if you come, I'm going to teach you a song now because where's the pastor? Right there. How much time do I have? Am I done? We're done. Okay. 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 So I won't. So since I have the microphone, and he probably won't come and snatch it out of my hands, very briefly and very quickly, I'm going to teach you a song called Fanga, which means welcome. It's a song of joy and a connection and welcome. Can everyone say, it comes from the country of Liberia. There's a long, beautiful, and sometimes very sad story about Liberia. But anyway, can everyone say the word Fanga? Fanga. Now with a big voice, can you say Fanga? Fanga. There you go. Fanga means welcome. Now can everyone say the word Alafia? Alafia. Alafia means to the space or to the circle. And then can everyone give yourself a hug, squeeze your body real tight. Oh, I like that. Yeah, you said, oh, I like that. Okay, you can rock yourself back and forth. Can you squeeze and say Ashe, Ashe? Ashe, Ashe means joy or love, or so be it. It's a very easy song. I'll do it, and then as you can come in, you can sing it with me. It's one of the rhythms we'll be doing upstairs, and I can feel Pastor Jeff looking at me thinking, okay, moving along. Okay, anyway, very quickly, it goes, Fanga alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Fanga alafia, Ashe, Ashe. There you go. Fanga alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Fanga alafia, Ashe, Ashe, and stop. Great. So all of you were singing, so you're all singers, you realized it, right? You sang very easily. You're drummers, you're also all dancers. You're all dancers, drummers, and singers. So anyway, thank you so very much, and Pastor Jeff, thank you for letting me go on. Thank you, all of you beautiful drummers.
Thank you for making us drummers and singers. All right. We're always glad to have our elected officials join us for this celebration. And today we welcome State Representative Kate Donaghue and State Senator Michael Moore. Representative Donaghue and Senator Moore, we invite you to come up and share a few words.
Oh. I always have to lower the microphone, especially when I'm following Senator Moore. So, as I was just said, I'm Kate Donaghue, and I represent most of Westborough, 3/4 of Northborough, all of Southborough, and a neighborhood in Framingham. I want to take a second to say thank you to all who are here celebrating Martin Luther King Day. I see some elected officials in the audience, municipal officials. I saw Shelby Marshall, Jeff Spofford, Julia O'Neill Welch, Patrick Welch. I'm not sure if I've missed anybody. Oh, Mitch Cohen, Chair of the Select Board in Northborough, and all of the school officials who are here. I also just wanted to take a little time to talk about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King's vision inspired civic engagement and community service. I love the theme, purpose, partnership, and power, the path to civic well-being. Purpose. Knowing and defining your purpose is a critical piece of action. Partnership. I'm looking for the senator. In my first term as a legislator, I saw, as I have seen in my, oh, there you are. I saw, as I have seen in my whole life, the value of partnership. Everything that I have accomplished in life and in the legislature, we do through partnership. I have never accomplished anything without the help of others. And power. Purpose and partnership, controlled with action, give us the power to accomplish so much. I want to thank the Central Mass Connections in Faith, Letitia Broomfield and Pastor Jeff. Thanks to Veronica. Wasn't she an impressive young woman? I think she's gone with the chorus, but I was very impressed with her remarks. And thanks to the Central Mass Connections in Faith, the Westborough Interfaith Clergy, and the Westborough Public Schools for partnering with Westborough Connects to host this event. During the past 8 years, Westborough Connects has become such a part of the fabric of Westborough and has really been a model for the theme of purpose, power, and especially partnership. I have learned a little bit about GenUnity's mission of bringing people together across differences, and I look forward to hearing more. Thanks to the choral group and Oda Day, he really got the people rousing here. I love the participation. And a shout out to the many people who are here providing programming for children during this time. I read a little bit about GenUnity's work, and they talked about barriers to participation. And having childcare is something that really helps us overcome a barrier to participation. And again, thanks to all of you for being here and caring about civic well-being. And now, my colleague, Senator Moore.
Oh, good afternoon. Thank you all for allowing me to be here with Representative Donaghue and to join you as we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Every year on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I'm reminded of the power each and every one of us hold. During his short life, the Reverend fought for the causes he believed in, including desegregation, civil rights, and the voting rights for Black Americans, labor rights, and more. His courage, strength, and belief in others helped create a movement that led to a remarkable legislative achievement, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Martin Luther King Jr.'s iconic "I Have a Dream" speech drew thousands to the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and defined a new generation of civil rights leaders. These important achievements demonstrated the power of an individual and an idea. Martin Luther King did not come from a privileged background, and he was not handed a platform. It was through the power of his ideas that all men are created equal and deserve the same rights and privileges under the United States Constitution. The Reverend made his mark on American history. It was through civil disobedience and non-violent protests that he advanced the civil rights struggle that continues to this very day. Although he did not achieve everything he wanted before his life was tragically cut short, the modern civil rights movement stands on the shoulders of giants like Martin Luther King Jr. and fellow fighters like Malcolm X and Rosa Parks. Their vision continues to lead the movement to dismantle systems that perpetuate systematic racism. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. shines as an example of the power that exists within each and every one of us, the power of our ideas, the power of our voice, and the power of our actions. There is nothing that stands between you and fighting for the things that you believe in. Whether it's continuing the fight for equal rights, regardless of your skin color, gender, sexual orientation, you can use your voice to rally support and influence change here in Massachusetts and beyond. Don't let anyone silence your voice or convince you that you are powerless. While you may only have one voice, it's what you do with that voice that matters. Just look at the Reverend. He used his voice to influence a nation. As you get older and you have the opportunity to create the world that you want to live in. Voting, staying informed, calling your elected officials, talking to your friends and neighbors, these are all things you can do to use the power that you hold. Being an American gives you the power that many other people in this world don't have. Power to use your voice. Don't let others take that away from you. I want to thank the Westborough Connect, Pastor Jeff, and everyone else involved in organizing this today, and more importantly, all of you who came here today to recognize his achievements and what he fought for. If not for you being here, elected officials, as many people as we wanted, government officials, could come up here and get together and try to pay some recognition. But if the community didn't get involved, our attempts wouldn't go anywhere. We wouldn't be able to recognize his achievements or his voice and what he fought for. I hope you all will reflect on his incredible legacy and know that his power is your power. Thank you very much.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Jerren Chang. Jerren is the co-founder of the organization GenUnity. This is an innovative nonprofit supporting the civic learning and leadership development of hundreds of grassroots residents in Massachusetts communities. This month, Jerren became the president and CEO of Partners in Democracy to continue to heal our civic culture, renovate our institutions, and build a democracy that works for everyday people. Jerren also serves as a board member for Massachusetts Public Health Alliance and Democracy House, as well as a contributing columnist for The Fulcrum. Previously, Jerren served in the Chicago mayor's office, focusing on economic development policy, and worked as a consultant at McKinsey & Company, advising public and social sector leaders. He holds a master's in public policy from Harvard Kennedy School, an MBA from Harvard Business School, and a BS from Duke University. So please join me in welcoming Jerren.
First of all, thank you to Pastor Jeff and to all of the organizers, and to echo Senator Moore, to all of you for being here on what is, I'm sure, an emotional day for a lot of folks. So I wanted to start by just doing a bit of a check-in. Obviously, there's a lot going on today. Martin Luther King Day, of course. It's Inauguration Day, another peaceful transfer of power in our democracy. We also had an incredible, rousing intro song from Ortha Day. So I just wanted to see if folks could raise their hands. If you're feeling energized, raise your hand. Okay? If you're feeling tired, raise your hand. Okay? Hopeful. Okay? You can raise your hand multiple times, multiplicity of emotions and all of that. How about joyful? Okay. That's great. Just wanted to get a pulse check for the room. Let me start by introducing a little bit more of myself beyond what Pastor Jeff shared. I'm Jerren. I'm originally from the suburbs of New York. I'm the child of immigrants. My dad is originally from China. He fled to Taiwan during the Civil War there back in 1949. He was 7 at the time. And my mom's from Malaysia. She was an orphan there. She was adopted by a low-income single mom, and she came to the States in the 80s when she met my dad. And I always start by sharing their stories first because their journeys have shaped why I'm here today and why I do the work that I do. My father's father got out of poverty because of the civil service exam. And that system of opportunity that gave him access to education and ultimately a pathway into government service. Whereas in my mom's case, it really came down to the compassion of a single person right? Her adoptive mom that transformed the trajectory of her life. And I've always thought that there's enormous power to tap into our individual compassion, our individual civic agency, to build better systems of opportunity for everyone. To be honest with you, though, I didn't really know what that looked like in a role, in a job, and as you probably heard from kind of my background, I hopped around a bunch of different places trying to find that answer. My kind of latest stop before Boston was in Chicago, and in many ways, I went to that city because I thought it was endemic of the struggle that the nation was experiencing. One of the most diverse cities in the country, going through this kind of evolution from manufacturing to kind of post-industrial economy, and relevant for today, where Martin was leaving off a lot of his work. We quoted today his last book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? And that was a book about his time in Chicago. I just want to read a quick quote, a passage from that book to really capture the scene of what he was seeing in Chicago. So, you see hundreds of children playing in the streets, and when you go out and talk to them, you see the light of intelligence glowing in their beautiful dark eyes. Then you realize their overwhelming joy because someone has simply stopped to say hello. For they live in a world where even their parents are forced to ignore them. In the tight squeeze of economic pressure, their mothers and fathers will hold 2 jobs, one in the day and another at night. With the long distances parents must travel to work and the emotional exhaustion that comes from the daily struggle to survive in a hostile world, they are left with little time or energy to attend to the emotional needs of their growing children. Too soon you begin to see the effects of this emotional and environmental deprivation. The children's clothes are too skimpy to protect them from the Chicago wind, and a closer look reveals the mucus in the corners of their bright eyes. And you are reminded that vitamin pills and flu shots are luxuries which they can ill afford. The runny noses of ghetto children become a graphic symbol of medical neglect in a society which has mastered most of the diseases from which they will soon die. There is something wrong in a society which allows this to happen. First of all, if you haven't read his last book, I implore you to do so. It is one of his most prophetic pieces, and that's saying something. That's what brought me to Chicago. And while there, I saw 2 things. 2 disconnects, I felt like, in how we were living and how we were making decisions in our institutions. Serving in the mayor's office, I saw both a disconnect between the folks in our kind of decision-making positions and the people in the communities that they were trying to serve, and a structure of incentives that often prioritize people making decisions about private, political, or economic gain over the public good. And those questions are what led me here to Boston, to grad school, to ultimately co-found GenUnity and to lead Partners in Democracy. I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but ultimately I wanted to share a little bit of what drives me to this work. And ultimately it is this core belief that we have individual agency to shape the systems around us, to be better, to serve everyday people, to make life more equitable, more thriving for every single individual in this room and in our communities. So I want to start us off with a quick visioning exercise. I'm going to ask you all to think about a world where we've successfully addressed our greatest social challenges. What would be most different in your life? So when you think about, maybe less about the big grand things, think about your life. We've addressed our greatest social challenges. Turn to your neighbors. You have facilitators at your tables. And if you're sitting at a table with a couple folks, please try to get to a table with at least 6 people, maybe 8 people even. And I'm going to give you all a few minutes in those small groups to get a sense for what would be most different in your life. let's talk about some of those barriers, right? We've named some of them. You know, I heard someone name structural racism. I've heard folks talk about kind of cultural polarization. Barb mentioned that we're focused on different problems. There's a reason why we start with a visioning exercise of what would be most different in your life. When you talk about anxiety, when you talk about this feeling of joyfulness that is possible, when we talk about what we want to build towards, we often find that we're actually pointing towards the same North Star. We're getting a little divided around our diagnosis of the problems. That's definitely true. But we start there for a reason. I want to talk a little bit about those barriers to progress for a second. And we've heard a number of them, structural ones, cultural ones. I want to put those to the side for a second, right? We know that there are big barriers to progress. They often get a lot of airtime. I want to talk about the individual ones, right? This is Martin Luther King Day. At 26, Martin Luther King coordinated the Montgomery bus boycott. At 34, he delivered the I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington. 35, he got the Civil Rights Act passed. I mean, we got to be able to do something. I'm thinking about my own clock. I'm like, when I hit those dates, what will I say that I've done? There's this book that my mentor wrote called Our Declaration. If you haven't read it yet, it might be worth a read, by Danielle Allen. She's a Harvard professor, and she ran for governor in 22. The thing that she talks about is like, how do you align or kind of make sense of the fact that the authors of the Declaration of Independence, one of them, Thomas Jefferson, slave owner, and the kind of radical words that were on the page around freedom. How do you reconcile those two things? And she offers this idea of maybe we rise and fall to the level of our habits. And I think, Marilyn, you touched a little bit on that, right? With the students, how do we break out of these habits, whether it's social media, whether it's video games? How do we break out of what we are habituated to believe, habituated to be comfortable with, and rise, as MLK says in that book, his last book, to a more noble expression of humanity, right? And I often think about habits because I think about how do we both have the infrastructure, the support that we need to break bad habits, to build new ones, right? Because that's both on us and that's on the structures that we build, the support that we build around each other. So I want to pivot us a little bit to thinking about this framework of civic well-being. You heard the representative touch on it a little bit earlier. And it's a framework that my organization, GenUnity, we created, this idea of purpose, partnership, and power. And I want to just share a little bit of what it means to me, and offer it up as a potential way to think about where do you go from here yourself. So for us, purpose, or actually let me take a step back. I think when we talk about civic well-being, the purpose of using that word was kind of break us out of this mold of all civic engagement is created equal, right? We're often in this space where people say, volunteer, vote, get involved, do something. The idea of taking a well-being frame breaks us out of this idea that every civic exercise, every civic action is good. If you are, for example, voting in a system where you don't actually have a meaningful choice, that might not be as pro-social, as positive as doing something else, right? We need to start differentiating that different civic exercises do different things for our civic well-being, right? We can't just be standing there doing curls all day expecting to be healthy. The civic well-being framework gives us a way to think about how are we strengthening these three interlocking pieces of what defines civic well-being. So the first one, purpose, we'd like to think of it as learning the why and the I. All right, so do you understand the issue and kind of what underlies the issues that you care about? Do you understand the role that you can play in driving change on that issue? Right? Oftentimes, we'll look at something and say, I care about housing issues, but I'm not really sure how to get involved. I'm not really sure who's to blame or who has what authority to change X, Y, or Z. We need to start unpacking those things. We can't stay at the level of I'm not sure. We got to find, to Janet's point, good sources of information, and that links to partnership. Right? Partnership is about moving from I to we. Are we in authentic, trust-based partnership with the people who are experiencing the issues that we care about? All right, if you care about, I'm just going to stick with housing because it feels like a very pressing issue in our state right now. Are you in community with folks experiencing housing issues, experiencing housing insecurity, who are housing overburdened, who have been displaced? If you're trying to tackle the issue and you want to do it holistically, that's a big question I think we need to answer. Are we in partnership with those folks? Have we talked to them? Do we have a genuine trust-based relationship? Are we also in conversation with people who are trying to work to solve the problem? Are we in conversation with our elected officials, our town manager, our select board members, the folks who we've entrusted to tackle these problems? And those can be our trusted sources often of information that allow us to kind of pull together our own theory of the case. And the last piece is power, right? MLK has this great quote about how education is nothing without action. And to me, that's what power means in this framework. Do we have the resources? Do we have the skills that we need to advance the change that we want to see? And it's only when we bring to bear each of these three things, purpose, partnership, and power, in connection with each other, that we find the ability not only to drive change, but there's a deep sense of resonance, a sense of well-being, of belonging, of knowing that you're in the place that you were meant to be. You're uniquely suited to drive the change that you're trying to drive because all of these pieces are clicking together. It's a little hard to describe, but it's sometimes associated with this feeling people call a calling. Thank you. All right, with that, Pastor Jeff, back to you.
All right.
Thank you all for your time tonight. It was a pleasure to be with you.
A big thank you to Mr. Jerren Chang for leading us with grace and humor and strong encouragement along the way. So thank you, Jerren. And thank you to everyone. Just a second here. Lost my spot. Thank you to everyone for coming, to all of our sponsoring organizations, to our funding partners, to Cumberland Farms for the snacks on the table, to the planning team, the facilitators, the volunteers, to Ortha Day and Jerren Chang. And as you go today, we invite you to make sure you fill out that feedback form. You should have gotten it on your way in. Volunteers can collect those forms on your way out. Alternatively, you could also fill it out electronically through the QR code in the Trifold program that you received. It's there too. And as you go at the tables where you checked in, there's the opportunity to sign up for the mailing list, the email list for either Westborough Connects or Central Massachusetts Connections in Faith. If you'd like to get emails and know more about what those groups are doing, make sure you sign up out there. And then lastly, as you go, is the music and drum circle up the stairs and in the lobby. If you have children as part of the children's program, I think that's where they were winding up. So you can listen for the sound of the drums as you go.
Thank you, everyone, so much for your presence today, which demonstrates your commitment to honoring the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King dreamed of a world where we come together in our communities against inequality to build a better future. Let today be the start of our work to create a community guided by shared purpose, strong partnerships, and equality for all. Together, we can continue his vision and make a lasting impression and a lasting impact. Thank you all for coming.
And then the last thing, I am a minister, so I'll ask you all to stand and we'll go with a non-denominational blessing. As we go, feel your feet underneath you and take a deep breath and look all around like we did at the start. Make eye contact with the people around you. And may we go this day renewed in our sense of purpose. May we go refreshed in our understanding of partnership and our connection to one another, and reminded of the power that we do hold, the power to be the change we wish to see in the world around us. Thank you for coming. Amen.